watching T&R Broadcasting, and I'm your host, the Invisible Man. Washington, D.C., May 17th through 21st, the Afrodescendant Nations National Reparations Convention was held, followed by direct action against two banks, Capital One and Wells Fargo, for direct ties to chattel slavery. The convention featured the Honorable Silas Muhammad as its keynote speaker and presidential candidate, Dr. Cornel West, among others. Opening night of the National Reparations Convention, May 17th, Harriet Abubakar Esquire, lead counsel for the Afro-Descendant Nation, gave the most up-to-date information on the fight for reparations.
Well, if somebody hits you in a car and they're the defendants, and they also run the courthouse, they're not going to be too inclined to rule in your favor, and they'll wiggle and figure out a way as to why your case has no merit. It has no standing, as we call it, and it cannot be brought, or it should be dismissed. And most of the time, it is dismissed. So what Silas Muhammad wanted to do was get over there, learn the ways, and learn what is at heart to make the United Nations get some backbone. And that's exactly what he did.
Day 2 of the National Reparations Convention, Afro-Descendant President Dr. Akila Mukaram spoke about the international fight for reparations.
We're going to take off, get our reparations, get our sovereignty as a nation, an Afro-descendant nation. We want to be the 194th seat among those member states in the United Nations.
Attorney Malik Shabazz Esquire, the National Reparations Conductor and head of Black Lawyers for Justice, discussed the importance of all reparations groups coming together.
Is reparations some far-off demand that could never be met and will not be met? Is, in this time, the teachings of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey outmoded? Is his teaching of self-reliance, a Black economy, Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, is that message and is that program for some time yesterday, or does it have relevance today? Are the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad outmoded, outdated? Are the objectives of the messenger of God a land and a territory of our own? Mixed minerals, resources, and territory for 25 years to be paid for by this government. Is that something for yesterday? Is that something that we tried yesterday and we're moving on from today? We want to know that question.
Delivering the keynote address, the Honorable Silas Muhammad talked about how he managed to present the case for Afro-descendants to the United Nations.
African Americans are a people who, for more than 400 years, have been mindful daily, consciousness of otherness, not knowing what you are, who you are, what your people are. You don't speak the same language. You don't enjoy the culture that you once had. You're feeling of otherness. You're speaking of white man's language, practicing a white man's culture, enjoying a white man's religion. Am I in error? This is what we are arguing out in the UN, that you have lost your human rights. Why did I go out there to begin with? Because of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West, in speaking at the National Reparations Convention's press conference, spoke about the fight for dignity and the need for moral-minded people to represent Afro-descendants in the fight for reparations.
Of course, I want to thank all of the voices here, but I want to zero in on the Honorable Silas Muhammad. Oh, I'm telling you, 86 years young. My God, straight out of Texas, where my mama's from. Marlon, my mama's from Orange, my brother born in Port Arthur. So I have a bias toward Texas, no doubt. But then on to Los Angeles, and then all around the world, the Middle East, Africa, there with the magnificent Esquire lawyer and attorney Harriet, both of them a dynamic duo based on what? Same thing, love for the people. When you love folk, you protect them, you respect them, and you correct them. All three. And to be able to sit here with my dear brother is a blessing. It really is. Let's give it up for my dear brother, the Honorable Silas Muhammad. Lord, 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 Lord. Be a much more soulful people.
Yes, sir.
And soul ain't nothing but the sharing of a soothing sweetness against the backdrop of grim catastrophe. How do we soothe each other with a sweetness when we all down and out and sometimes think that Pharaoh's on both sides of the bloody Red Seas and somebody raises their voice and say, I think we can make a way out of no way. I think maybe we can step out on nothing and land on something. I think that what seems to be so impossible can still be in our reach if we could create some forms of community and family and solidarity such that we surprise ourselves and in connection with a God that is in larger control. Lo and behold, we surprise the world.